Hi, Tim Kasser here, psychology professor, continuing on telling you about the circumplex of people's values and goals. Now, how we understand this is that everybody has all these different values and goals, and that they're important at different times and different moments. So right now I just finished a nice meal and was down here in the hedonistic part of my value circumplex. Maybe later on I'll go to church and participate in spirituality. Sometimes I bounce over here to affiliation, and then maybe I'm concerned about my image. So life is sort of dancing around from one aspect of the circumplex to another part of it. Now, what ends up happening, though, sometimes is that we can get stuck down here and spend a lot of our time in this more extrinsic, ecologically damaging part of the circumplex. And our research suggests that there's two sorts of things that will tend to lead people to focus a lot of their time and a lot of their energy on these extrinsic, ecologically damaging values and goals. The first one's pretty obvious, and it's social modeling. So the more times we're around people and the more we see messages which tell us that fame and image and money are important, the more likely we are to believe that ourselves. So the research shows the more advertising you watch, the more you're likely to believe that that's important. We know that if your peers and if your parents thought that that was important, you're likely to think that's important too. We also know that living in highly capitalistic, neoliberal kinds of economies where we hear about economic growth all the time tends to promote these more materialistic and ecologically damaging values. So social modeling is one really important thing which leads us to care about those things. The other one is insecurity. So we know, for example, from the research that when people are feeling psychologically insecure, they tend to move towards those extrinsic materialistic values. So studies have looked at parenting styles. So kids who have more cold, controlling parents tend to be more materialistic. People have looked at divorce. Divorce tends to lead kids to be more materialistic because it makes you feel insecure. We know that growing up in poverty can do that. We've even done studies, experimental studies, where thinking about your own death and being hungry ends up making you more materialistic. And some of those are some of the most basic things that can set off a sense of insecurity. So again, one of the things I think we have to think about when we think about environment and we think about values is, how is it that our society and how is it that our lives are leading us to come to believe this is important? Are we being exposed to a lot of models which are pushing us here? And are we being exposed to feelings of insecurity which are also making us care about these values that are bad for the environment?